Vanderbilt's domination of South Carolina has elevated the Commodores as contenders.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Shout out to the everydayers. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your $5 bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Now, on this episode, we're going to talk about the rankings. Vanderbilt comes into the AP poll at number 20, which is where I thought they would break in at. I thought maybe they would go a little bit lower, but 20 is about where I thought they would be. So we're going to talk about that. We're just going to talk about we're going to talk about what we learned, the fact that Vanderbilt did simple better. And honestly, physicality is the cornerstone of this team. This team, they're serious contenders. And that's where we're going to start, because if you watch the last two games, I just saw a stat. They've only given up 7 points in the last 6 quarters. That is unreal. 7 points in the last 6 quarters. That's an outstanding stat. So Vanderbilt being contenders, that sounds crazy. It does. It sounds insane. It sounds unhinged. It sounds, if you would have told me that after week 3, I would be talking about Vanderbilt being in contention to possibly move into a spot into Atlanta, I would have called you crazy. But this team is showing me that they actually are contenders. And this is not just, hey, they've played well lately. They've got a program. They've got some things. They've got a foundation. And honestly, Clark Lea said it, and I agree with him. The rest of the schedule is winnable. Honestly, the way Vanderbilt plays football, the rest of this season, the rest of the games on the schedule are winnable. They're contenders, guys. Like, you may not want to admit it. This may be too weird for you that Vanderbilt is a contender in the SEC, and it really hasn't been ever. They maybe sniffed it with James Franklin. They won 9 games, but this is a special team. And this is a team that tough road environments obviously doesn't bother them. Lane Stadium, they withstood that. Obviously, the initial onslaught was going to happen. They withstood it, made adjustments, and then just physically punished Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is now broken. They've fired their head coach. South Carolina, initial onslaught. Well, actually, Vanderbilt set the tone and marched right down the field and scored on their first possession. South Carolina, not to anyone's surprise, ripped it right back down the field to equalize. And then they both kind of traded punches, and then Vanderbilt just settled in. They got Zaylen Wood made that interception, and I think that changed the course for South Carolina. Obviously, then Lenore Sellers goes down. That's not ideal, but physicality, man, they won the line of scrimmage. And they didn't just win it, they took it over. They dominated. They were opening up run lanes left and right for Pavia, Cedric Alexander, James Hill Lassiter scored a touchdown. That guy's a spark plug, dude. That guy's electric. Said it in the reaction show. That guy's electric. So the main thing we've learned from these first 3 games is that this is no fluke. They're not getting lucky in these games. They blew out South Carolina. And I get it. They didn't have Lenore Sellers. And everybody's going to say, well, they didn't have Lenore Sellers. Injury. They had everybody else. And Doty's not that bad of a quarterback. You could see how flustered and flummoxed and just absolutely befuddled and beside himself that Shane Beamer was. I used some big words there. And that will tell you everything. He thinks that they should have won. Luke Doty's a pretty good quarterback. I think Luke Doty could go up to Kentucky and start. he's mobile. He's got a good arm. He's a tough runner. He's smart. He knows what to do with the ball. Like, you got Nick Harbor, probably the most freakish athletes in the SEC, probably the most freakish athlete in the SEC, save maybe Ryan Williams. Like, if you're 6'5", 240 pounds, you run a 4.3, that's freakish. And they didn't give him not one deep shot. Like, they were shook, dude. They were shook. And that's, physicality is, like I said, physicality is a cornerstone of this team. They beat you into submission. And they love it. This offensive line takes pride in mauling you. This defensive line takes pride in mauling you. They played 12 defensive linemen. This is the second time in a hostile road environment that they've emptied the bench. Blaise Berlowitz got a meaningful series. Like, that shouldn't happen if you're ranked 12th in the country and you're playing Vanderbilt. Like, that's not the normal SEC world. South Carolina was supposed to crush Vanderbilt. And it didn't matter who was a quarterback. They were supposed to roll. Their defense was still intact. Did they stop Diego Pavia? No. Did they stop Cedric Alexander? No. They stopped him at times, but for the most part, 31 points is not stopping anybody. And they just got dominated. They just got pushed around. And Vanderbilt finally has the roster to be able to do something about it. They had the spirit. They had the coaching edge last year. They just had a roster to do it. And then Vanderbilt actually panicked a little bit in last year's matchup. That's why they lost 28-7. So, the result just flipped on its head, and it was one of those back and forth for the first quarter or so. And then Vanderbilt took over, whereas the exact opposite last year. So that's growth, and that's everything you want to see in a team that's trying to become a legitimate, not just a legitimate team this season. They're building foundations for a program, for a sustainable program that's going to have sustained success beyond Diego Pavia, beyond Langston Patterson, beyond Eli Stowers, beyond Cedric Alexander. Like, every crop of guys that come in, I think they're developing a culture and a foundation of, hey, we're not the same old Vanderbilt. We're not built to lose. We're going to win. They dominated, dude. They're contenders. They are contenders. I don't care what you say. Let's look at the schedule, because the rest of the SEC is showing that it's wide open. Alabama, yeah, they look great against Wisconsin, but I think Vanderbilt would pummel Wisconsin. They'd run right by them. Wisconsin is a shell of itself, and any Wisconsin fan, and one of my best friends, Matt Perkins, shout out to you, but Wisconsin is in the tank. So we don't really know what Alabama truly has. We'll know next week after they play Georgia. We'll see how they rise up in that matchup on the road. LSU, they look strong, but they're not invincible. Missouri, they look strong, they're not invincible. They can score in bunches. Bo Pribula is outstanding. That might be the team to watch out for also. Like, Missouri's going to be good. Texas, Arch Manning just got booed off his home field. So, like, this team's getting booed at home. And they didn't play anybody. Worth note. Auburn, I just can't trust that Auburn's going to keep it together. I think Clark Lea and Bunch are going to outcoach Auburn. Kentucky's going to have a rough year. I think they're going to get outcoached. They just can't hang. I don't think they can hang with Vanderbilt. And Tennessee, they're pretty good. They are pretty good, and they're great at home. And if Vanderbilt, that's going to be a challenge, but it's winnable. Like, Tennessee's not invincible. That's a winnable game. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it's winnable. Like, no game on this schedule would I say that there's a team that's far and away the favorite. Maybe LSU, but not even them. Like, they struggled a little bit early on with Florida, and Vanderbilt's not a team you want to struggle with early on. So, again, they are contenders. 10-2 with that schedule. If you start out this run ranked 20th and you just keep winning and you go 10-2, you'll be hovering in around one of those last playoff spots. You could sneak in. Like, I know I sounded crazy when I said 10-2 on the Herb and Rod show, but it's starting to look more and more like a possibility. It really is. It really is. I don't know who the two losses are going to come against, because Alabama's not who I thought they were. Texas is definitely not who I thought they were. LSU is better than I thought they were. And Tennessee, obviously Aguilar is really, really picking up Josh Heupel's offense really well. So they're not who I thought they were. So this is going to – I mean, I don't know where the two losses come in. I'm going to stand by that. They're contenders. They are contenders. They physically beat you. They physically belong. They have the roster to do it. Their style of play, they belong as contenders. There's no fluke. It's no fluke. They belong as contenders. 7 points in the last 6 quarters. That's amazing. They were 50% on third down. As I'm recording this, last night. They had 323 total yards. They had 35 minutes of possession. They only had 4 penalties this time, so they're cleaning that up. They turned the ball over once. It was an interception, really bad interception, but it was an interception. They took the ball away 4 times, so they're taking care of the ball better. Passing-wise, they threw for 177 yards. They rushed for 146. So if you look at balance as in passing and rushing, they were pretty balanced and pretty efficient all around. I felt like the play designs and all that stuff is just there. So they are contending. Physicality is the cornerstone of that. Physicality is what's making them belong. Because there's years that it's obvious they just don't belong. But this is not that year. I'm sorry for all you haters, for all you doubters. This is not that year. Pavia is on a mission. They're contenders. Let me know what you think. They're contenders. We're going to continue this conversation. We're going to talk about how Vanderbilt's doing simple better and how that's effective. We're going to talk about it next. But first, man, I got a quick question for all you college football fans out there. If you could go back in time, sit front row at your school's biggest rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? Yeah, I said hat. For me, it would be the game. These aren't just hats. They're the same vintage styles fans wore back in the 1980s and 90s. And guess what? They still go for the same price they did back then. When you use code Locked On, you will get your vintage hat for $16.99. So head to thegamecaps.com. It's right down here. Grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design and use code Locked On for an exclusive discount. You know why? Because legends wear the game, and it's right up here. Legends wear the game. You got it. I also want to talk to you about 5 Hour Energy, not Prize Picks. I also want to talk to you about 5 Hour Energy because caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get that boost whenever you need it. So what's my favorite flavor? Man, you know what? I have no preference. And that's kind of the cop-out answer, but I have no preference. And they're all refreshing. They're all give me a lift. It's a shot. So any sort of citrus flavors are good with me, like any orange flavors or anything kind of in that ballpark is usually what I prefer. But honestly, I don't think they make a bad flavor. And I know that's kind of the easy way out, but it's refreshing and it gives me a quick lift before a busy day. And it sounds like I'm just gonna reach in the bag or whatever I get, man. That's kind of what I'm at. I love the variety packs. I love just being surprised at what flavor it is. That's just a fun game for me. I know I'm weird about that. So I love how fast it kicks in. I love that it's sugar free, and I don't have to worry about crashing. I can just. As I go, I can just come down. So Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine flavor an upgrade with 5-Hour Energy Shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in-store and online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. All right, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. If you need a second listen, Locked On SEC. Whoop, this is right over here. Place to go. Chris Gordy, amazing. Amazon Fire TV, college football today, or college football kickoff show. That is amazing. They do such a great job. Drake Toll, Gary Patterson, Jesse Holly. They do a great job, man. Clint, shout out to Clint Shamblin and Eric Kane. Clint of Locked On Bulldogs and Eric of Locked On Vols. They were on the college kickoff show, and they did a great job. So you should check that out. It's on the Locked On SEC channel. Vanderbilt rolls into Alabama 5-0. Your boy might be on it. Wouldn't that be something? Anyway, they get a lot of views. So I want to talk about how Vanderbilt did simple better, okay? Because when you break down this game, they did simple better. That was one of the biggest keys I talked about with Chris Marler is who does simple better. Miles Capers had a ridiculous game. Physicality, again, continues to create the problems. Simple better. Just be physical at the point of attack. You wear teams down. You don't panic and you wear teams down. Physicality. Do simple better. That's simple. It doesn't take a whole lot of talent to be physical and put your hands on somebody and not shy away from contact. That doesn't take a whole lot of effort. That's the simple things. Physicality. And I know it seems elementary. Oh, well, of course you got to be physical. Well, not all teams really quite understand that to the level that they need to, because they try to be something that they're not. They try to be, they try to be one thing, and they panic and they try to do too much, right? And Vanderbilt did simple better. Offense was able to stay in third and short, and they converted those at a 50% clip. They were 6 of 12 against South Carolina. They were able to keep ahead of schedule. They were able to stay on schedule, however you want to describe it. But by winning on first and second down, they were able to put themselves in situations to where they were able to convert on third and short. They even converted on a couple fourth downs. The fourth down stats for this game was they were 1 for 1. They only had 1 fourth down. They were 1 for 1 on that. Defense, 4 takeaways. Miles Capers, one of them. They punished South Carolina, dude. The physicality of the defensive line punished South Carolina. I mean, Miles Capers, it was a good homecoming for him, man. And he showed out. He had a ridiculous game. And, I was very pleased with that. But this defense overall is just they're a group of menaces, right? He had 2 tackles. He had a sack. He had a fumble recovery. And it was outstanding. But a lot of what he did also didn't show up on the stat sheet. Simple better. He did his job. He contained. He turned plays back inside. He got pressure on the quarterbacks. He was able to chase down. He was able to close space. He was able to force whatever South Carolina wanted to do. He was able to force them to do it away from him. He did his job. And that shouldn't, again, do simple better. Don't overthink the room. Don't outthink the room. Don't outcoach yourself, right? And Vanderbilt's doing a phenomenal job of not outcoaching themselves. They do simple better. This is what we're learning here. We're learning that Vanderbilt's route to success is just doing simple better than everybody else. It's converting on third down. It's mauling people up front and creating those run lanes so that you can convert on third and short, or get in situations where you're not in third to mile all the time. You're taking the ball away on defense. You're hitting. There was a play. It was at some point in the game, and it definitely happened in the Virginia Tech game as well. I remember it was right before they quit. There was a play, and there was a play in the South Carolina game that was similar. they made a catch on the sideline and they were about to turn up. And usually, when you make a play within the yard of the sticks, a receiver can usually turn up and like fall forward to the first down. This was on 3rd and long too. And they caught the ball, and Martell Height came up and just drilled the guy, stoned him, and drove him out of bounds. It was 4th and 1. Virginia Tech punted. They quit right after that. Like that kind of thing. Vanderbilt pushed them around. Vanderbilt's physicality punished South Carolina on both sides of the ball, but defensively especially. They punished South Carolina. Faison had to make 4 guys miss just to get back to the line of scrimmage. It felt like every play. They just couldn't get anything going in the run game after the first couple series. They couldn't throw the ball. They were inaccurate. They were hurrying. They strung together a few good plays, but they're South Carolina. They're going to do that. So that's just something that you look at. And then the mindset of this team, they set the tone. They set the tone early, and you knew what kind of game it was going to be when they marched right down. They got thrown for a loss, and what could have happened the rest of that series is they could have went backwards and punted from their own end zone and let the crowd affect them. They didn't. Very next play, first down, Eli Stowers. And they just marched on down the field like they were just at practice. The crowd, quiet. They got riled up later on, but Vanderbilt just didn't panic, dude. Their mindset is okay, we can absorb those shots. And that's, again, going back full circle to the first segment, that's what makes them contenders, because they can take those shots and they can absorb them. Last year, they know what to do with it. Like last year, you deliver that knockout blow, and they're on the canvas, and they're not really getting up. This year, they not only get up, they not only have gotten up, but they end up knocking you out right away. 7 points in the last 6 quarters. That should tell you something. They're ready to play. They're ready to play. They're well coached. They're ready to play, and they're physical. These guys run. These guys, mindset, man. You can't doubt it. You can't doubt it. So Vanderbilt's ranked because of it. It's the next step in the right direction for being contenders. Vanderbilt is contenders. It's like, trust me on this. We're going to talk about that next. All right, now it's time for Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you, in fact, by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. So it's just, honestly, it's a fun way to consume football. It's quick, it's easy. It's just, you follow along, you're watching Red Zone, you're watching your guys, you got your 6 guys teed up, and you're watching Red Zone and hoping they do stuff, right? That's the easiest way. It just makes it fun. Red Zone's already fun. This makes it even more, right? And I love checking projections like, well, Josh Allen more or less than 270 passing yards. I feel like that's stealing. I feel like that's stealing. I feel like it's a free play with Josh Allen, or Saquon Barkley more or less than 1 rushing touchdown, which he's pretty good for those. The best part, even if one of your picks misses, Prize Picks invented the flex play so you can double your money. Interesting. So download Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. And FanDuel, if we're on a gambling kick here, man. You make your picks in Prize Picks and you roll over, man. The NFL season's here, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with can't miss offers. Right? It's week 2. Week 2's winding down. We got Monday night doubleheader tomorrow night. And right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love it for player props, like over under 4.5 catches for Bijan Robinson, or I love getting on a live action as well. Like, hey, this team's making a second half run, man. I'm gonna take advantage of that, and it makes the games exciting to watch, man. You're sitting there, you're rooting along. Like I did this for the Jaguars game today, And I found myself just kind of rooting, man. I was like, oh, yeah. It was a Bashal Tootin. I know I'm crazy, but it was a Bashal. I saw him. He was taking advantage of it. And I made a Bashal Tootin prop bet, and it paid off. So it's quick and easy way to add a little more money and energy to Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, wrapping up the show here. Locked on Vandy. We're off to a great start. It's Georgia State this week. But, this is the first week that Vanderbilt is actually contending. I mean, look at this ranking here. This is the preseason. Look at that. I'm curious, Chris Gordy's going to come out with the SEC power rankings later on. I'm interested to see what it looks like after this. This is the preseason one, right? So this is pretty wild, man. And like I said, Vanderbilt, it's not a fluke. It really isn't. Here's the rankings. Courtesy of CBS Sports College Football. I just thought this graphic looked cool. But here's the top 25. Vanderbilt coming in at number 20, about where I thought they would be. However, I think they could throttle Indiana, so they should be ahead of them. They beat Georgia Tech in a bowl game, same team, same quarterback. So I think they should be ahead of Georgia Tech. They've pummeled the last two opponents they've played. Georgia Tech won on a late field goal, but shout out to Buster Faulkner and him being offensive coordinator. At the next family gathering, I can rib him a little bit. So, but this AP top 25 is for the it's pretty fluid, honestly. Like I look at this, and my honest opinion is you could shuffle this deck, and however it fell would be good. Like Ohio State, they're good, but I don't know that they're the national champions, so of course they're the number one team, and I support that. I just don't think they really are the best team in the country. I don't know who is. I don't know that Penn State is. I don't know that LSU is number 3. Georgia gave up 40 points. I don't know that they're 5. Miami, I'm not sure they're I don't know. Texas, I think they got booed off their home field. I know they keep winning, but it might be a little high. Florida State, Oregon, A&M. This is all interesting, and these games are very good and very back and forth. And this top 25, it's gonna the playoff push is going to be interesting. By the way, it's going to be interesting. I think Missouri and Indiana should be flipped. I don't think Missouri should be 23. They're good. Auburn, about right. Michigan, about right. USC, 25. South Carolina falls out of the polls. They were 12 last year. Last week, they fall out of the poll. That's interesting. So Texas Tech making a push in the Big 12. The Big 12 is going to be interesting. Who's going to get that spot in the playoff? Iowa State, Utah, Texas Tech. It's going to be a nice little 3-team race there. Big 10 is going to be interesting. FSU with the ACC, I think they're going to start to run away with that. I don't think it's going to be close. I don't know. Maybe Georgia Tech might have something to say about that. I don't know. This is going to be an interesting deal. But Vanderbilt at 20, they didn't usually with Vanderbilt, they'll just okay, we'll throw you a bone here. We'll throw you in at number 25. They get number 20, but I guess 7 points in the last 6 quarters. I guess they saw that and they go, hey, well, maybe Vanderbilt's for real. And they're right. Vanderbilt's for real. I've called my shot on every single thing that's happened. I said they would come in at about 20. Some people threw out some numbers, and I was, I agreed with them. I said I wouldn't be surprised, but nothing surprises me. But I thought 20 was about where they were going to come in at. They're number 20. I said they were going to beat South Carolina. Well, they did with an exclamation point. I said the same about Virginia Tech. They did with an exclamation point, right? I said they're going 10-2. I stand by that. It may happen. It may happen. It's going to be the SEC's wide open, man. Look at all the SEC teams. You got Georgia, you got LSU, you got Georgia, Texas, A&M, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Bama, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Auburn, Missouri. I mean, just littered with this, like the SEC Invitational. It's unreal. I think they threw USC in there just to get another Big Ten team. But Big Ten represent with USC, Michigan, Indiana. Well, I don't think should be in there. Illinois. That should get your attention. That should get your attention. I love these polls. I love that Vanderbilt is finally getting the respect they deserve. They're going to continue to prove it, guys. And it starts, unfortunately, this game, it's a revenge game, but it's not a conference game and it's not a marquee matchup. So you hope they take it seriously. So they're not out there reading their own press clippings. But again, we're going to talk about this game this week. We're going to get into it all. Got Juwan Williams coming back. That's going to be fun. I hadn't talked to Juwan in a while. Get his take on not only what's happening now, but get his take on kind of what this Georgia State game means for the program and how they can prove each and every week that, hey, they prove they go a little bit further in proving that they're contenders. Vanderbilt's in that position. They have to prove it every week. They don't get the benefit of the doubt every week. They have to go out there and prove it. They've done it thus far. They have to continue to do it. So I'm going to leave you there. Locked on Vandy. Let's have a great week. The numbers were incredible. Let's keep that up, dude. Let's keep that up. You guys are awesome. Everybody was awesome. Even the South Carolina fans that came through, even the ones that called me a doofus and genius and whatever. It's awesome. They're engaged. It's what I want. I want engagement. If it's a little trash talking, so be it. But here we go. So have a great week. Anchor down. Peace.